Welcome. This will be a video for showing how to create binary files that are called PDF files that are the input for using the CoupModel. This is sometimes quite complicated and takes time, and many people they hesitate to do it, and this is a little bit problematic if they would like to use the model, since the model requires those type of data. Anyway, I will try to show in this how you could do it, and I will start with an example that is actually a new experience to work with a Norwegian scientist looking to inverted peatlands. Inverted peatlands are something special for me, and this Munir creat is studying those special land use forms in Norway. And you can learn more about this if you read his publications and look to what it is. Effect of peat inversion on carbon balance and greenhouse gas emission in agriculture. So this is an interesting topic, but we will not discuss the topic today. Instead, we will run into the technicalities. So, I got the file from Munir, and that file is an Excel file, and that's quite normal. But what was also is that it is a CSV file, so it is not Excel by definition. It is an Excel normal input file, but it's one input format that is used by many programs, and as well CoupModel can use this CSV file as input. But we have to look into it before we say anything about it and how well it may work with also an Excel. So I would like to create an Excel file in my folder, just to make sure how we could examine the data we have from Munir. And I will do that by open the Excel. That's it here, and I think we can view this now. Yeah, you will see the Excel, and I think most people are familiar with Excel, and probably many are much better in using Excel than what I am, but it's not most important for this moment. Now we should just use it to look to the data of Munir and to create data that we could use for the CoupModel. So I first start to read this data from the CSV file of Munir, and then I import it here, and then we have this file now in a directory, and actually I created one directory for this purpose, peat inversion, and this is the file, and I will import that. Once this is imported, that is made by some tools of the Excel, we read it in because it looks like Excel can easily handle this, and we see that this has a style that is typical for Excel sheets. A lot of columns, a lot of rows, a lot of information. And we may not need all this, but we should try to focus on what is most important to create a PDF file that is useful for running the model. And then I can see that we have some problems. First of all, when I look to the first column, we see that it has a header called logger, and then a number of text strings. those text strings are not at all possible to use in the CoupModel. So I will say we frankly just take that away. The next column is something that is much more exciting. That's a timestamp. And a timestamp is, it's showing something like, year, month, day, hour and minutes. And this is the way to identify the time, and it happens to be exactly the way that has been used by the CoupModel for many years. So I'm happy to see this first column. That's great. We should use that information as it is. We don't need to change it. But what about the rest? Coming to now another, we have location, and we have location 3 and 4. And this location 3 and 4 happens to have the same time points. So the timestamp is the same. And that is not a good sign. First of all, we can say that in a PDF file that is used for the model, we normally would like to have only one row for each time. So that's the basic requirement. And how could we handle this? Of course, there's a simple way to do it in Excel, because Excel has filters. And if I click on this header line, we can see that we have the way to look only to location 3 or location 3 and 4 together. So I decide now to look to location 3, and then I just unclick location 4, and then we see that now we have only location 3. So now we have fulfilled the requirement of having only one time point for each row of data. The rest of the columns here looks more, I will call normal. We have jordfukt, that's soil moisture, and then we have jordtemp, that's the Norwegian here, and we have vanntemp and vannhöje, and all those looks like nice data for running the CoupModel, because it gives you a description of what we have in the profile. But then you could say that looks like another category. When I come to this N here, we have something called instrålning, luftfuktighet, lufttemperatur, lufttryck och nederbörd. Par and vindhastighet. Okay, that's the climate data, and the climate data are the input for running the model. So actually I would like to focus on those particular variables in this tutorial to create the climate input file. Okay, but I said that the rest of the data looks okay. Here comes something new. We have again text strings, and then I will say that we take those away. I don't like the text strings now, and this looks like details. And then we have date again. I take that as well away. And then we simple would like to no. I take maybe this don't. I take all those ways. So now they disappear, and now we have a little bit more reduced information. What to say about this NA? That's not the number. And here we have not the number for more or less all the rows. It does not look so nice, but we can forget about that for the moment. But one of the issues is that if we have this type of structure, then we need a lot of space for also filling in the structure with I will call it nonsense, or missing data. But anyway, we have sorted out, so we have only location 3, and we have only those data that should now be, let's see here, I will try to make a copy of this to a new sheet. And the reason I do that is that I would like to now create a new file that contains those data that I believe could be useful directly as an input for the CoupModel. So we copy that, and then we go to a new sheet, and then we just include this in the new sheet. And then we say yes, and it takes sometimes to get this new sheet filled with the data. And the good thing is that here again we don't have any filter, we have only this location number 3, and the timestamp looks the same and it's correct. I will say this location 3 is text strings. I said that before. We take that away also. Okay, now we have a clean sheet with data that could be useful directly to read into the CoupModel. And to create those formats that should be used in the CoupModel, we now go to the archive, and then we take this save as, or spara, we take spara en kopia in Swedish here, but if we do that, then we should do that on this computer, and we do that with another format. So we go back to the CSV format, look for that here, comma, separated format, and now this should be also up to a position on our computer, and I will identify now just this directory with the Peat inversion, and then we see that we already have one file there, but we should just give a new name now, and I call this location 3, since it is location 3 and not location 4. And then Excel tells us that we can only save one sheet in this format, but that's what we intended to do. If we want, we can now easily go back to this main sheet and then say that, okay, here we haven't deleted location, so we can go to that filter and we can shift to location 4, and then we take that, and then we have all the data for location 4, and then we can separate. We can take them like this. We can make a new folder also for location 4, because now we need 2 different files instead of one. So I create a new sheet here, call that for location 4, but first I have to just paste those, and now I have a location 4, and now we can actually to create some new organization or order. We can rename this, it's called blad 1 here, but I will just change the name to location 4. That's it. And we can say that then we don't need to have a column that says that it's location 4. We can simply remove that, and I do that here. And now this looks actually the same way as we made just before for location 3, but it's location 4. So what to do with this? Of course, we should save it as location 4 instead of location 3 as we had before, and we do that on the computer, and we do that in the same directory, and we call that location 4. That's it, and we get the same meaning here. If we by some reason would like to keep this original Excel file with both the sheet for location 4 and location 3, we can of course also save that as an Excel sheet to keep everything together in a type of original. And I will call this for my we call it both locations. If we by some reason would like to return to the Excel, then it's good to have both location in a file. Oh. But that's what we have done, and now we should be, I will say, relaxed that we don't need to work with Excel any longer for the moment. We just close that and we can skip that, and we are going back to what we have on our screen. So we can take this away, and then we can see that we have this both location, we have this original file CSV, and we have location 3 and location 4. And then we had also the template that I started to read, but I think that's something that we should move away. So I delete that for the start, and then it looks like we have still expanded from 1 file to 4, but that's still a reasonable number of files. Okay, the purpose was to check for whether this could be used directly for reading by the CoupModel. And if we should try to test this, then we should start the CoupModel. And I click on that, and then it open, and now it's open by looking to an XML file. And I can say that this XML file I will actually use later on, but now I will focus on looking to PG files, and then I have a window that is the PG main view window. And the PG main view window, we have some yellow rows, that's 5 yellow options for what could be the next step. And then you see that row number 2 says that we could import from a CSV text file. We commented before about those windows here, and for instance I see that I have one here, evaluation multi. I can take that away to just make it a little bit cleaner for you when we examine this. But to import, we click that, and now I further click on this scan CSV file, and then we should again find directory, Peat inversion, and then the browser look for a CSV file, and we have our three different CSV files. The first, we know that's not possible to read because it contains text and many other issues. But those location 3 and 4 should be possible. So I click on location 3, and then I got some useful response. We can say that we have a number of rows, but still it's a little bit mysterious because we haven't got any time correct. The time says 001, and that does not correspond to what we had. So something is wrong, and then I happen to know that what is wrong is that the first column was called timestamp. So we need to adjust also the header line to make it readable for the CoupModel. There are some tricks to make it readable with this timestamp, but I will close this now, and then I will instead open this location 3 with another program that is a much more clean editor for looking to ASCII file. So then you see a lot of lines and you see something that is not so well organized, but on the very first line you see timestamp, and then I would like to replace by typing in date. That's the normal default name of this particular string that contains the time specification. And then I save that, and then we close that, and then I will start to read this by the CoupModel. I can try to read it directly from the CSV file, and then we get some response again, but it's still not filled in all the information. And then we make one more scanning, and I scan, and then we see a new result, and then in the bottom you could see that now we have identified 720 records, and they are unique, and they have a common time step that is 60 minutes, and it starts the 1st of September 23. And for all of those columns that we had in the Excel, they are also identified here. So it's a lot of, variables, and all of those can be used for different purposes. But if we should do the very first thing, that was the meaning, I would like to look to the climate file and the climate variables. And I will take a break here because this requires more details. But to get those as outputs, we can just click those here that are connected to variables that are identified for our climate forcing file. So I click instrålning, luftfuktighet, lufttemperatur. Lufttryck is not appropriate, it's not used. No. Sorry. We have nederbörd dygn. That's not so useful when we have hourly data. So I see that we have something called rain, millimeter per hour. So that's much better. And then we have a par, and that's not either so useful because we are using this instrålning. But vindhastighet, that's the wind speed, are useful. So this is a selection of those 5 variables that should be the variables for creating a climate file. And now when they are shown here, we could have been also changing the variable names and looking more to how to edit those, but now I just would like to select those. So I click this create, and immediately we have a new file, and I can click, for instance, installing, and I see that we have some patterns that looks like the sunshine during September month 2023. So I think this is a great achievement that we have the data, but they are still not correct, and I will show in the next how to make them with also the correct units, and also being sure that they have labels that can be understood. But now we will come, we will make a break and come back later. So see you soon. Bye bye.